y'all, I'm Ellen. We've been super inspired by our journeys of self-healing and discovery.
And I'm Sam, and we want to share our experiences with you to help you get curious about yourself, reconnect, and get intentional about your life so you know what makes you happy.
Welcome to Woo New, the podcast. We are really excited to have Jaime Breeze here with us today. She is, I would say, better known on Instagram as the Mountain Medium. That's always what comes to mind when I think of you now. And I had the honor and pleasure of having Jaime do a reading with my dog Norm, who we just adopted about 3 months ago. And has been such a blessing in me and my partner's lives. And what came through that reading was just so profound and so powerful. And she came by way of a friend of mine who had also, I think my friend Claire had, she and her boyfriend had gotten her mother a reading for her puppy, her dog. And so I was just, first of all, really excited to meet Jaime at the time. And just what came through was incredible and just so healing. And I've been kind of processing it and meditating on it ever since. So welcome, Jaime. Thank you so much for being here with us. We're so excited for this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is going to be awesome. And, all of our conversations are very organic and free flowing. And so full transparency, we came into this space without any sort of question prep or anything like that, just because we want to sort of have it very much divinely led. And so I think what would be really awesome is to start off by just talking about your own personal journey and how you became a medium, actually, how you came into this gift and what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was about 3, I started talking to my mother about past lives I remembered and experiences I had. I would explain to her how I died in those lives. And I was still struggling with it. And thankfully, I had parents who were very supportive in these stories I would tell. And of course, that was the early 80s, so way before the internet. So my mom, thankfully, she went to the library and got books about reincarnation and tried to help me through all that.
You were 3 years old?
Yeah, when I started talking about one of my previous lives, I do have a scar.
Wow.
I have a scar on my leg that I was born, or I should say a birthmark on my leg that I always refer to as a scar from being killed in a battle.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was really drawn to that memory of that previous life. So my mom helped me harness memories and being able to be open and talking about it all. I also was seeing spirits at that time, and I always knew I had an inner knowing of something bigger than just us. So I felt really drawn to the heavenly realms, angels, guardians, anything along that lines, but especially reincarnation. And then I started speaking with my cat one day, and I just kind of assumed it was normal and that everyone kind of did that. And it would kind of frustrate me how, for example, no offense to my father, but he would never be speaking to my cat. And it would be frustrating because I didn't understand why no one else did that. And I felt so bonded and connected with that cat. She's still around me right now to this day, but it was interesting because I always said my cat from childhood taught me everything I know. And it's true. She was so spiritual and such an old, wise soul. And it was interesting because when we'd go on family vacations and we'd have to leave our cats at home and with a sitter, her spirit would come to our cabin or our hotel, wherever we were staying, and she would watch me. And I remember saying to my mom, Kit Kat is here with us. And my mom explained to me that animals are very gifted and can, leave their bodies and go anywhere they need to. So I think Kit Kat and I just had this strong bond, and she kind of missed me when we were on holidays. So she came to visit me. So that was like a big turning point in my life. Well, as a 6-year-old by that time, I think. So I started playing around with things, and growing up, I just kept seeing spirits and feeling like I could walk into a house and know if it was haunted per se, if there was an energy there. And again, like I just didn't understand why no one else was doing that around me. So I spoke to my peers in high school and stuff, trying to kind of look for someone else who had the same abilities and everything. And I never really found anyone. I think now, though, there's a lot more people out there with the abilities, or it's just more accepted. So people are open to it and they can grow their spiritual knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I got into everything. I started working with spiritual healers at the age of 16 because I wanted to learn how to harness everything and understand energy more, and why I feel people's pain or sorrow or excitement, and other people around me weren't picking up on that energy. So it's just kind of snowballed from seeing spirits to past life memories to speaking with my cat. And it's just kind of expanded and come all together a couple decades later for me. And it wasn't until 4.5 years ago when my dog passed away. She passed away the day after her 16th birthday. And she was my soulmate. She is my soulmate. And it was heartbreaking for me. I didn't know how I was going to go live the next 40 years of my life without her. And one day I realized I'm not going to do that. I can't live without her. I don't want to live without her. So how do you fix that? Well, I'm going to get her to come back to me. So I did a lot of research, and I'm not sure if you ladies are familiar with Abraham Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
So I listened to one of their podcasts, and it was about animal reincarnation. And Esther was saying, as she was channeling Abraham, pets reincarnate. And I've always believed in reincarnation. So if I believe in reincarnation and pets reincarnate, why can't I get Breeze back? So it was shortly after that I started getting messages from Breeze on the other side. And we started kind of working together, and she told me she was coming back, but I had some work to do first. And she said she'd be back in 4 years. I said, I don't want to wait 4 years. I can't wait 4 years. So I dug inward and really did the internal work that she told me I had to do. And after a while, she told me her birth name, the date of conception, where in the world she would be, what type of dog she would be, what color she would be,
Wow.
the person who had her, what their name was. And around the time I would find her. So that was a pretty wild experience. And it was interesting because I got to experience every level of her life. So I was with her when she transitioned back in 2016. Then I was with her when she was on the other side, and I got to experience what she was experiencing up there. Then I was shown her soul being put back into a physical body.
Wow.
And then being born again. And it was just a wild, crazy journey. And so she's sitting here with me now. She'll be 2 next month.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it was a interesting experience. And so that experience taught me, okay, I need to help other people who are grieving their animals. I want to give them peace and hope back, and knowing that they can be reunited with their special creatures. Animal grief is considered not important to a lot of people. People don't think it's real. People don't think should be any energy behind it. They don't think you need a grief leave from work. Well, it's the complete opposite. There are so many people whose animals are the most important thing in their lives. And when we lose our animal, there's no resources. There's more and more now coming up, the more I'm researching, and I think with this day and age, But even 4 years ago, I was lost. I went to seek help, and I went to grief counselors, psychologists, to try and get over this painful grief. And no one had the answers for me. And then it was just presented to me like, this is the answer of how to help people grieving. So that's my main niche, is to help people whose animals are on the other side, and to let them know they will be together again, and that that animal is still energetically around them and their soul is around them. But I also work with animals in the physical, as you know. And so for behavioral, physical issues, or just someone who wants to make sure that they're providing everything that their animal needs, and to make sure they're happy and they're feeling good in their body. And so it's just really expanded and exploded. And I just think animal communication is going to grow so much in the next few years. I think it's like an awesome go-to resource before having to take your dog to like the vet, for example. And again, I'm not medically certified, so obviously I believe in vets works and stuff, but if you can avoid that heavy cost of a vet by just switching a food item, or using a herbal remedy because the dog says, you know, his stomach is upset, and you have this option and he can tell us that, then I think it's just a good option for people. And like I said, I think it's going to grow really big in the next few years. And our animals have so much to say. They want to share everything with us, and they just need to be heard.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have so many questions.
I know. My head's exploding right now.
Like, I know, like, I have so many questions specific to animals because, like, holy moly, this is the coolest thing I've ever, like, come across. But also, like, as you were remembering, like, just to jump back to your past lives as a child for a minute, like, okay, I've watched my boyfriend thinks I'm crazy. He told me one day, he was like, thinks I'm prone to conspiracy theories. So, of course, my response to that was like, find these documentaries where these little kids have these past life memories and they can like remember all these very specific things from their past lives. And, but it was super interesting. I thought that in all of those stories, they were talking about how the kids, as they got older, just sort of began to forget those memories. Did you have that experience? Because it seems like you just were like full on communicating all the time.
Well, it's kind of hard to say. Like, so with those kids, and I think I know the documentary you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because the one kid with the World War II pilot.
Yeah, the pilot.
Incredible. So I was a First Nations, and my dog Breeze, now she was actually my horse. And my cat from childhood, who I spoke about, she was my wolf. And so Breeze and I were killed in battle. So I've always remembered those details because they were so strong, and I would actually dream of them throughout my childhood as well. I saw how my whole village was destroyed by the enemies. I saw my wife, I was a male, and I saw how my wife and kids were killed as well. But my other lives, they have kind of flittered out. Like, they're not as strong, but this First Nations life I had was always like in my heart. Whoa. It was like a part of me growing up.
Is it because of your connection with Breeze? Do you think it's because of that deep soul connection?
Soulmate connection.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm always with Breeze in all my lives. Okay. But that life, I was told actually when I was younger, because I asked about this. I'm like, so why that life? Because it wasn't the last life I had. It was a few lives ago. And my spiritual teacher told me the reason I'm so connected to that life is because I was living in nature. I was part of the earth. Like, I appreciated flora and fauna and everything. I was just living my highest spiritual self in that life. And so that's why I felt so connected to it versus like possibly the last life I have, which I used to tell my mom I was my great grandmother. Oh, wow. I have no memory of that at all, except what I told my mom when I was like 3. Um, yeah, so that's why I'm so connected to that past life.
So when you would go into houses and you would like see spirits or know if they were haunted, was that really overwhelming as a child? Because I would be like, oh, I don't know
Freaked
how to
out.
deal with that.
Yeah.
I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
I spent my childhood and teen years absolutely petrified to sleep at night. So what happened was when I started working with spiritual healers, I was a waitress when I was 16, and I was serving this gentleman and his 4-year-old granddaughter. And she looked at me and she said, "Did you know you have ghosts all around you?" And I looked at her and I said, "Yes, I know
Oh,
I do. I need help. I
Whoa.
need someone to help me." And her grandfather was like, he gave me this business card. He's like, "This is my friend. She's a spiritual healer. Give her a call." The next day,
wow.
I'm sitting at this woman's house. So I worked with her for about 5 years. And what we did, I learned that the ghost world and the spiritual world, which I work with now, are on two different frequencies.
Right.
So walking into a haunted house terrified me. So what I did is I literally turned off that light. I don't want to work in that lower energy.
Mm.
And I really worked on just working with the higher heavenly realms. So angels, animals, our family, friends, and loved ones who have transitioned. And if I do want to ever get back into the ghost realm, I can just flip that light switch back on, but I don't want to because it was scary. I didn't know how to
Yeah.
control it. And everything I do now is just out of pure source energy and love and high vibration. And it's just really expanded everything in my life. Like when you tap into that amazing, loving energy from source,
Mm.
and knowing that your family, friends, loved ones, and animals are on the other side and still around you, it's a game changer.
Man, were you oh God, I'm like trying to like piece out all the different questions I have because they're like a thousand heading through my mouth right now at the same time. Um, when you were saying that you just turn off that light, is it a matter of almost like almost like declaring that I no
Yeah.
longer want to communicate?
Yes, exactly, because that's an intention. So energy flows with intention. So my intention is just to work on a higher vibration with source energy.
Mm.
And so, yes, exactly like that.
And when you were talking to your cat when you were little, how I'm so curious, how do you hear or how do you pick up the messages? Is it visual for you or is it audio?
Or
So a lot
telepathic.
of it, yeah, a lot of it is visual. So I am very clairvoyant, but also telepathy as well. So when our animals are in the physical realm, it is coming through telepathy. So say if you just had a fleeting thought like, "Oh, hey, I should do my laundry today," and you're thinking about that in your head, it's exactly what I hear from the animals. And the key factor is when I do my communications, I have to relate everything the animal says because they are so smart and they are so philosophical sometimes. And sometimes I'm just like, "Oh no, that can't be right," but it is. It is. So they know more than I do. So I have to make sure I write everything down before I communicate it with their guardian. Um, as you know, with Norm was quite philosophical in certain
Yeah,
ways, right? And it's just
totally.
like, wow, yeah, they're so wise. It's uncanny. Like I've never experienced such a higher consciousness than I do in animals. Like they are so smart.
One of the things that you said that came through the reading with Norm was that he was with me when I was a small child. And you had said that, your Breeze has been with you also, like from like every single, not just past lives, but even when you were a young child too. How how does that work? Or like, I'm so fascinated by the spirit of the animal being sort of just around. Like, do you know if they're like almost kind of, is it like a soul family thing? Like where you're bonded together and they're just,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So even if they're not
Absolutely.
even if they're not incarnated, the soul is still kind of with you, or the spirit is still with you.
Yeah, and it was interesting. This still sits with me all the time. Before I knew Breeze was able to come back to me, I was grieving so hard, and I was like begging God and all my ascended masters and angels and protectors, like, please, I need to see her again. And there was a part of me that was really scared. And so that night in my dream, it was incredible. They showed me here on earth, and it was like a cord, an umbilical cord coming from my belly up through the galaxies into Breeze. And Breeze was just this little puppy floating in space, but our cord was attached.
Wow.
And the feeling they gave me was, it doesn't matter what form you guys are in, you're always attached. And that was so relieving to me, knowing that what if she's in the physical and I'm not, or vice versa, we are 100% attached and we will always be together. And that was so comforting.
That's like making me emotional.
Yeah, it was very emotional for me, because it's just so beautiful what God and the energies and the universe and source shares.
Norm is like the first pet that I've had, dog that, like companion I've had, where it actually struck me because I've never like fast forwarded to the end of their life and experienced that grief, even, with my other pets, like as puppies or as, young dogs. There's no reason for me to like jump ahead and imagine the day that he's not going to be here, and
Yeah.
And there is this, like, I don't even know, it's like it's like a sadness. And with him, it like almost happened immediately, almost like a month or two after we had adopted him. And so it's just, the bond is just so much stronger than I have ever experienced with any other animal in my life. That's okay. It feels appropriate.
It feels timely.
I'm trying to hopefully. Okay, good. Yeah, well, thinking back to our consultation, I do remember we tapped into your past life with Norm, one of them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, and the sadness that you feel, I feel like it's still coming from that. You both experienced a lot of loss in that life, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And, so you have that bond with Norm and that wholeness with him as well. So that totally makes sense. There is still a bit of emotion there for sure. Yeah. What I've also learned when the animals do pass is, and they've all said this to me, they would rather just not live in a body in pain. They will for us because they love us so much, but they see death differently than we do. Death is terrifying for humans. Animals, they see the different realms all the time. So why are they scared? It's like just going next door to someone's house for them. And and what they've told me was, and Breeze actually was the first one to tell me this when she was on the other side. She said, it's just like taking your car to the auto body shop. You get it fixed up and you come back.
Wow.
So that's what I like to think now is the animals just want a fresh new body. It's no big deal. No big deal for them. They'll go get fixed up and then come back a couple years later. And if we think about it that way, it does make it, I guess animal grief is never easy, but it does give you some hope that, like, hey, they're just going to come back.
Yeah. It actually brings a lot of comfort knowing that's almost like their perspective. I'm curious, like with animals too, where are they dimensionally? Like, where do they sit? Because I feel like I was always taught that they were lower dimensional, but yet I feel like what was coming through you And what I'm hearing is that they hold so much wisdom, and it's on a completely different high frequency or higher dimension.
Yeah. So when I connect with the animals on the other side, it is definitely up.
Uh-huh.
So like it's a high vibration and it's beautiful and comforting. I feel that they are, I'm not sure what dimension you'd call it, but I feel they're with our loved ones as well, because the animals always bring in people. Like they'll bring in mom who's over on the other side, or dad, or whoever. When I do readings, they're on the same level as like the heavenly spiritual plane. And when I use the word heaven, it's just a generic term that would make sense to a lot of people, but like whatever you want to call it, I like the term source energy. So
Mm.
that means God, Buddha, Allah, whoever. But I feel the animals are in line with source energy.
Wow. Okay. That makes
Yeah,
a lot of sense.
I feel their vibration so high, and every time I connect with them and they're showing me where they are, it's, I just don't feel there's a low vibration at all. It's like so high.
Yeah. I guess that's actually a really great segue into a question that I have where so I know you also offer mediumship and psychic readings as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting because I guess the way that I've always understood it is that if you have loved ones who have crossed, that they're in a higher dimension, but they're not in the same dimensions as, for example, the archangels or like some other spirit guides or even animals in this case. So how is it that you connect with them and like differentiate between like a loved one who's passed and then like the lower dimensional, like quote unquote ghosts?
So mediumship, the reason it's called mediumship is like meeting in the middle. So what I do when I connect with your loved ones on the other side is I raise my vibration and they lower theirs. So we meet in the middle area, hence the word medium, middle, mediumship. So your loved ones lower theirs, I increase mine, and we meet. Just when I feel it, it's a few inches above my head on my left hand side. So
Mm.
that's how the mediumship connects. Whereas ghosts, for example, they feel like more in front of me.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I
Yeah. So,
actually
because,
really get that because when I connected with my guides, it's very similar. Like they'll come in from behind and sort of like stand around me,
yeah.
like higher, but then sometimes I'll feel something come in from the front and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. And a good analogy someone once told me, look at the blades of a fan. So on the lowest level of the fan turning on, you can, if you stare at it, you can see the blades fully.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the vibration of, say, a ghost, because it's a lower vibration. If you go to like the highest point and you try and stare at the fan, you can't see it, the blades, because they're moving so fast. That's a higher vibration. So that's why it's easier to see a ghost versus, say, an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because the vibration is just like very similar to ours. So that's why
Mm.
spirits like still, like they say, walk the earth, or like are attached to a house or an object. So yeah, with the blade fan spinning really fast, that's the high vibration that like angels and our loved ones are in.
So before you kind of cut that turned off that light, so to speak, were you being were they coming to you basically wanting to communicate? Is that why they were sort of surrounding you?
No, not to communicate. They honestly, they would play tricks on me and stuff, and I just didn't feel they were there for nice reasons.
Mm.
um and so it really scared me. I don't think any ghost has ever tried to communicate me, just torments me in a way. But you know, when I have turned it off and connected with the higher realms, I do get spirits now, like loved ones on the other side, who come to me um out of the blue sometimes to
Okay.
communicate,
Okay. On behalf of somebody else or
wanting to give that person a message.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. But I have since learned how to control that as well. So if I'm not in the mediumship mode, I kind of like put a bubble around me
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so I don't get information. And then when I'm going to do a reading, I like open that bubble and raise my vibration. So I've really learned how to control when I receive information.
I see. And were these people, or were these transition loved ones those of people you knew, or was it total random strangers that would just want to come through?
Total random strangers. And it's
Wow.
been interesting because, a total random stranger coming through and wanting to give a message to a family member on the other side of the country,
Oh, wow.
for example. And yeah, so that really, really pushed me into doing this professionally, is because I was like, okay, these loved ones on the other side need their families to know they're okay.
Yeah.
They want them to know that they're with them. And what I do is I've been trained in evidentiary mediumship, meaning I want to give you evidence, stuff that I can't find on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I shouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make you understand that that information I'm saying is coming from your loved one on the other side.
Mm. There's just so much, it's like hard to explain. As somebody who's experienced grief in her life, like I feel like there was just so much release that came from knowing that my dad is still very present in my life. My dad is, very much around and helping and guiding in many, many ways. And like, I don't know, there was just something when it wasn't even a full mediumship reading, because that honestly, my first true mediumship reading was like yours was only the second. The first one was maybe a couple of months before that. Random people would come to me, and like I was flying on a plane once
Oh my
back in
God,
2000.
these stories are so crazy.
Yeah, and I think my dad was very present there, and so the woman who I was sitting next to on the plane happened to be a medium, or she called herself a psychic at the time, but she, basically she's like, there's somebody who wanted to pass on some messages for you, and we spent the entire plane ride just talking about that. And the irony of that is that as this woman was coming on the plane, she was in this heated argument with the man that she was with, and I was just praying to God that they would not sit down next to me, and sure enough, they sat down next to me. And so I like forced myself to go to sleep for half the plane ride, but then it turned out to be like the most profound plane ride ever. So
Amazing.
I feel like, yeah, my dad must have been like almost like one of those that you were talking about that were just, oh, she has the gift, like I need to like deliver a message right now.
Yeah. So what I've been told before by someone, so people who can connect to your loved ones on the other side, they're like little beacons of light, or like a flashlight shining up. So your loved one can pick that person out, no problem, and kind of manipulate to get you that information. So your dad, for example, saw that lady at the airport probably, but like minutes before, years before, it's all in divine order, and was like, okay, perfect, there's the beam of light I need to talk to my daughter. And so that I don't know everything because there's so much, but like I just know that the universe does work in mysterious ways, and it makes sense when you really like resonate and sit with it.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool because they want us to be comforted and happy. So they'll do whatever they can to get a message to us.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's amazing.
That's so crazy. I remember when the first time I heard that story, Elle, I was like, what? I would love for something like that to happen to me. That would be so cool, blah, blah, blah. And so Ellen was like so incredibly kind and generous. And for my birthday, she gifted me a reading. And so I had my first reading recently too, where like all this information came through that actually like no one in my family is like part of my soul tribe. Like I came down to just have this human experience and learn how to be human more. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it makes sense then. Like nothing like that has ever happened to me, but I was kind of bummed because I was like, really? And And it ended up being a great reading because it was like all communication with my higher self. And then ironically, like my dog came through like a little bit.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So it like really piqued my interest. And I was like, wow, it's again, divine timing that we're having this conversation now. But yeah, I always wanted to know what it would be like to have one of those experiences where somebody just comes up to you and it's like, I have a message. Here's a divine message for you.
I mean, as a medium, it sounds like that sounds like almost like borderline harassment for you guys. Because I feel like you're just kind of like, all
so
right,
overwhelming.
I'm not working. Like, you know, like I'm off the clock.
Well, you know what? I'm a waitress part-time as well. And so sometimes I get messages when I'm working and I try not to say anything until after the person pays me because I don't want to make things awkward. So as they finish paying, I'm like, okay, have a good day. By the way, grandma says hi, you know, but yeah, so I try not because I fear if I say it at first, it's just going to be an awkward lunch experience for them, and I don't want to do that. But it's funny because I did have this table a couple of years ago. There was 2 guys, 2 girls, and it was so powerful and overwhelming that they were all killed in World War II Germany. They were part of the resistance and they were helping hide people and they were all killed. And gosh. It was so intense. And I was saying to my coworker, I'm like, I need to say something. I need to find out more information. Like, I just want to know, like, do they have Polish history or whatever? So I waited till they paid and I was like, I'm so sorry. This is not what you came in for, were expecting to hear, but did you guys know that you were all in World War II as part of the resistance? And the look on their face they gave me was just like, who are you? But I didn't want to get into more detail with them because it was pretty like intense details, but I was just like, yeah, if you ever want to ask me more questions, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, it was wild. It was crazy. So yeah.
Did that come to you as just almost, was that just a hit? Or like, what were you connecting to at that point?
Such a hit. I don't even know. Their energy that was exuberating from them was so intense.
Wow.
So intense. That there was undeniable, like I was so uncomfortable the whole time they were there because I was just like trying not to say anything. Like, I wanted to sit with them and interview them pretty much, even though they would have had no idea like about their past life. But I was like so intrigued by their bravery and how they stood up for their beliefs. And I thought it was cool that they were all back together in this life, like hanging out again. So there was something there that they are still trying to accomplish. Another instance at my restaurant job is we had this bartender and he had this birthmark all down his neck. And I couldn't help but say, I said, do you know that your birthmark is from shrapnel? You were killed in the trenches in World War I. And he looked at me, he's like, yeah, I do actually. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we just went on with our day.
No way.
Yeah, but he remembered that. So that was cool.
He retained that from his previous life?
Yeah, he just always had it resonated with him. Like he always had a deep knowing of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was kind of funny. Great way to start the day.
Oh my God. It's so cool. Like I love how the divine works because it's like not a coincidence that you have this job where you're able to kind of be around so many different types of people too. And I don't know. It's like blowing my mind. Do animals do that as well? Like, will they actually come to you in the same way that transition like human loved ones will?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, they do. Sometimes not as often actually, but they will. Like I could just be having a glass of wine with a friend and there'll be like, for example, a black dog standing behind them. And then I'm like, oh. my cat is tormenting my dog.
As they do.
Yeah. And then they'll be like, yeah, I had a black dog when I was a kid. And I was like, yeah. So stuff like that. So actually, Lily, my cat here, she is really into this work. She is so superior and spiritual. She comes into this room every time I'm talking about animal communication, when I'm doing a reading for someone. She is so enlightened. It's amazing. I just started teaching intro to animal communications. And my first homework assignment for my students was they had to communicate with Lily during the week, any day, and send me a write-up of their conversation. And Lily's answers to their questions and everything, it was phenomenal. And she was talking like very philosophical about like the galaxies and the world, but again, evidential stuff.
Wow.
I also made Lily take my students on a visual tour of our house,
Uh-huh.
so they could understand what our house looks like. And it was really cool because Lily was so accurate. She was so precise.
Oh
And my
my
students were
God.
blown away. So I took them on a Zoom tour to say, okay, this is what you got right. This is what you got right. This is what you got right. And to the minute details of these yellow flowers that Lily likes to frolic in out front. Like
Oh
they're
my
all yellow.
God.
They're just all yellow. And Lily explained everything to them so perfectly. And my students were blown away because that was their first time ever doing a communication. So Lily, yeah, she's very special. She loves to be a part of this work. She has also told all my students and spiritual healers before that she is a guardian for me when I am doing this. She's just an extra tidbit there to make sure the vibration stays high,
Oh,
and that
wow.
everyone who does come in to speak is from a higher source.
Is that the
Wow, that's
purpose of a
cool.
guardian? Is it because I've been told Norm is a guardian as well?
Um, I think there's different forms of guardians or different ways to be a guardian, but that's definitely Lily's. And I do remember feeling Norm as a guardian as well too. To me, if I was recall right, I felt like he was more of a physical protector for you,
Yeah.
and an emotional like companion in a way. Whereas like Lily, she's definitely from another planet. Like
Wow.
she's very galactic.
Okay, so I love, first of all, I want to talk about the class that you're teaching right now, and
I know I have so
also
many questions about that.
I know, and also like for anybody who obviously who has an animal that they love, how would you recommend that they start to hone their skills in telepathy or communicating with their animal?
Well, okay, so telepathy is a muscle that we all have. We just have to train it. When we were born, we were all telepathic. And then just over the years, we start speaking and doing different forms of communication. So we lose it. So telepathy is so easy to get back. So what I would start, if you have a pet, definitely start communicating with them verbally. Our animals want to know everything. Like my animals need to know exactly what the plan for the day is every morning we wake up. So I tell them, okay, I got to work at home for a little bit. Then we have to go to the store and then we can go to the beach and all that stuff. So our animals want to know exactly what's going on. They want to be kept in the loop, just like you would keep your children in a loop.
Mm.
So start by talking to them and teaching them everything. And that way you're just going to create that more of a communication bond.
Mm.
And then in no time, just like start doing it in your head. Start speaking to them in your head. And it's interesting because I'll talk to Lily, for example, verbally, and she'll respond obviously telepathically, not verbally. But so you can do it that way too. You can ask them a question out loud and then just wait for the answer.
So like animals don't actually well, theoretically animals don't actually like speak English, right? Or like, so how does that come through to you? Does it come through as like a knowing or an intention or like an actual words?
All I've had witnessed it all, but it's the same with mediumship. I can communicate with someone in German who doesn't speak English, because they create the knowing within you. But
Yeah.
with Lily, especially, I have heard very distinct words from her that are undeniable. Now, the trick though is those words that your loved ones or animals are communicating to you, they do have to be in your frame of reference. So for example, if I was communicating with your loved one who was Icelandic, I don't know the Icelandic language. So when they give me their name, I probably wouldn't get the name right because it's such a different language.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So stuff like that. Whereas if I knew names from Iceland, I might be able to. So it has to be in your frame of reference.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So most of the times they will give us information. Now, I do get a lot of medical information from the animals as well. And it's interesting because I don't know anything medically, but I've heard it somewhere before, whether it was on a movie or in passing, someone talking about it in the streets. So what I'll usually do is when the animal gives me medical information, I will Google it just to see if like why they're giving that information to me. So, okay, so your dog has a bloated belly, and then the dog will tell me, oh, I have a flare up in my intestine, you know what I mean? And they'll give me the name for that, and then I'll look and I'll be like, that's it. So then I'll suggest to go to the vet.
Gotcha.
Stuff like that. Yeah. But I will let you in on a little secret. So for example, at my work as well, I work at a brewery. So it is a haunted building. And the brewer came to me a couple of weeks ago and asked if I'd be willing to connect with the spirit in there, and asked the spirit what type of beer he wants us to make next.
Oh, wow.
So last week I did turn on that light again. And we did kind of a connection in the brewery, and got some information of who the spirit was and what type of beer they like. So I had to explain this to the brewmaster. I said, I don't know the technical terms of brewing. I don't know what your machines are called. I don't know what this is called. So if I'm like struggling with the word, you really have to help me with it because it's not in my frame of reference.
Gotcha. That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow, what kind of beer did he want?
There was two. So the one that's in the building, he likes old traditional English ales, which the brewmaster was kind of disappointed in because he wanted something more funky. But there was this younger spirit who popped in, and he wanted to do something with rose hips because his mother loves roses and he wants to honor his mother who's grieving him.
Wow.
So I'm not sure the final flavor. So it's going to be something along with roses.
So cool.
Yeah.
And so as you understand it, I would love to like hear from your perspective, how it is that sometimes like a loved one can cross over, but not fully cross over, and then sort of end up in these places, these like slightly lower dimensions where they're still, around us.
Well, I always like to refer to the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze. It's kind of like that in a way. If they feel like they're really determined to give a message, or they feel a lot of guilt in their life, and then they just kind of get stuck. They just don't feel like, maybe sometimes they don't feel they're honorable enough to go into the light.
It's a worthiness thing, huh?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people need to feel forgiveness, not so much, and like to forgive themselves too, probably. And just also being connected to something like, for a house, for example, that individual might have been like so in love with his house, like he doesn't want to let go, like, and it's about letting go. And that's what they have to do. And, you see a ghost, for example, walking through a wall. The reason they're walking through that wall is because that wasn't there in their life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're seeing their reality. And then it's sometimes what I believe happens, and I could be wrong, so my apologies, all you Ghostbusters out there, but I feel that sometimes they think we're the ghost.
Okay.
because they see us and then they're like, oh my God, who is that? And you know what? Another movie you can really relate it to is The Others with Nicole Kidman.
Oh, really?
Mm.
So she didn't realize she was the ghost.
Yeah, that reminds me of what was that movie with Bruce Willis where he's like, I see dead people.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
The
And
Sixth Sense.
yeah, and then he was the one who was
Exactly.
dead.
Yes,
Right.
exactly like that.
It's because they're trapped in their own perception or their own reality. And
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I think I think it's either a forgiveness thing, a trust thing, a letting go thing.
Yeah. It just sounds like
Yeah.
Interesting.
attachments. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I can guarantee that no matter what you've done on this life, you'll always be accepted into a higher source realm. I don't believe that there is like a hell. I think the hell is what you create. Um, oh, and you know what? Another good movie is What Dreams May Come with
Oh,
Robin
yes.
Williams.
Yes.
So his wife, so she took her own life. And so she was portrayed in this hell environment in heaven, but it was only because she created that for herself because she was so
Mm.
depressed.
Right. Right.
But she has the option to go into like the rainbow waterfall land. So that's
Right.
another good movie to really see how that works.
Mm.
I can't remember who created that movie. I think they did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. I love that movie. I
I
don't
don't
think
think
it
I've
did
ever
very
seen
well,
it.
but I love that movie so much.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I cry when I
Yeah.
watch that movie because it's
Me
so
too.
heartfelt.
Me too. That was almost kind of like almost I would say a milestone in my healing from my grief too, like just watching that one movie.
Yeah, I watched it when Breeze, like the week after Breeze transitioned,
Oh
before I knew
God.
she was going to come back. I like lied on the couch and watched all these depressing movies and drank a lot of wine because I didn't know what else I was supposed to do. And I lost 8 pounds in 1 week. So that was
Wow.
not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other thing to mention as well for those who are interested in listening, I am helping about 3 clients right now. We are working on getting their animals to reincarnate back to them. So if you are looking to do that, the thing is you really have to go within and understand what it is that you need to learn before your animal can come back. And I'll give you a really easy example. This one woman, this wasn't my client, this was someone else's, but I like to use this because it makes sense. She lost her cat and she wanted her cat back so bad, but her cat said, um, I'm not coming back until you understand how to be alone. You have to self
Oh.
love. You have to love being with yourself and be able to just appreciate who you are. This woman was so scared to be alone. Like she wouldn't even like want to watch a movie by herself at night. Like she always had to have a companionship. So she had to learn to love herself, go within, understand that. And then her cat came back.
Wow.
Have you ever seen where someone wanted to reunite with a reincarnated animal, but like for whatever reason, the pieces didn't necessarily align and they like didn't end up with that animal again?
No, because the animal, like I mentioned, that umbilical cord,
Mm-hmm.
we're always attached. So that animal is going to find you. So Breeze in her previous body, she was with someone else for the first 8 years of her life. I adopted her when she was 8. So she needed to do some work with that individual before coming to me. But I've never experienced where that animal doesn't come back. And that I find that can be very fearful for people because it is terrifying. What if like your soulmate dog comes back to earth and you can't find them, right?
Yeah.
But they always have shown me how simple it is. They're like, don't worry, I'll find you. I was just doing a reading with someone a couple weeks ago and her dog's on the other side. And her dog showed me in the future this woman sitting on her porch, rocking back and forth, watching the sunset, and the dog is just going to come right up.
Wow.
So the animals are going to
Whoa.
find us.
Oh,
They will make
man.
it happen.
Damn.
And the other thing they always want to say is just don't worry about it. Chill out. And I was the worst for that. I went psycho looking for Breeze. Like it was bad. Like everyone around me was like, calm down. Like I was like, no, I have to find her. I have to find her. And it just like, it was like handed to me on a silver platter. I didn't have to do all that stress, but you know, it was a learning experience for me so I can help my clients with it.
Right.
Wow.
They really are such incredible. I mean, they're just such gifts, I feel like, in our
Oh my
lives.
gosh. Every reading I do, I learn something else from the animals. They are our greatest teachers.
Yeah, that must be so cool. I mean, like, as you're telling that story about this woman who needs to learn to be alone, I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, do I have this coming? Like, my dog is 12 now, and she's like, I've had her since she was 6 weeks old, and my boyfriend the other day was asking me, like, would you ever get another dog? And I was like, I'm gonna need some serious time to like grieve this loss.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I was like, I can't imagine not having a dog. After, you know, it's like I can't even imagine my life like that. And like, so as soon as you told that story, I was like,
Yeah.
But I totally get it.
Yeah. But now you know. So work faster so your dog can come back.
Right.
Because like I said, Breeze wasn't going to come back for 4 years. I was like, that ain't happening. I sped it up to 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And did you like, because you received all this information about where Breeze was going to be, did you go seek that person out? How did that actually come to fruition?
So I got a little bit of the information wrong, inaccurate. She gave me the name Zoe. So I saw big gold letters ZOE in gold and blue butterflies around. So I was searching high and dry for a woman in the area that Breeze showed me she would be. I was searching for a woman named Zoe. And my poor friend, she's a school teacher and she was teaching grade 4 and she had a student named Zoe. So I made her like literally harass this poor child for 2 weeks. Like, are you sure you don't have a dog? Does your aunt have puppies? Like, are you sure?
Oh my God.
And this poor child is like, Miss D, why do you keep asking me about dogs? But I also got the name June. And so I thought June was a month. So one day, I was looking through like Kijiji ads because I was going crazy. And I saw a picture of this dog and I sent it to my partner who he is learning. He's always very accepting of all this. He doesn't question it. He's excited to learn, but this is all new to him as well. He's an electrician. He almost fell off his ladder when he opened my message and he got goosebumps everywhere. And he's like, Jamie, you have to call whoever posted that. I think that's Breeze. So I was at work, my waitress job. So I just messaged this woman. I'm like exhausted and like emotionally drained from all this. So I get home and she responds, her name is June.
Whoa.
And she says, did you get the pictures of Zoe I sent? And I was like, oh my God. I started screaming and Colin, my partner, I didn't tell him about my dream Zoe because I felt like everyone was like thinking I was crazy by this point and like going off my rocker. But so I just kept it between me and my teacher friend. And so I had to show him all our text messages from the past 2 weeks going like harassing this 4-year-old child. So Zoe turned out to be a dog, not a human. So that was our kind of our funny thing. So yeah, we got in the car at 6 a.m. the next morning and went and got her.
Wow.
But if you hadn't had that information and hadn't been in the process of speeding that up, then theoretically Breeze, and if you hadn't looked for that post, then Breeze would have theoretically found you somehow still, right?
Yes, exactly. And if I didn't do anything, she would have waited till I was spiritually ready, which would have been 4 years. So she just found that body that she needed to use. So when I met her birth mother, I wanted to like really, really thank her for giving me my baby back, you know? So she would have waited until I was ready, but I was like, I need to be ready now. So Yeah,
Wow.
but she
Wow.
would have found me. She would have found me.
And so you're teaching people now how to do this?
Yes. So I just launched an intro to animal communication course. It's a three week one-on-one mentorship style. So it's based upon your schedule. Um, and it's fabulous. We do live readings together. I really push people out of their comfort zone because that's I feel that's the best way to learn. And it's been great. I want to teach people to communicate because the animals need that voice
Yeah.
and they need to be heard. And I just feel that it's so amazing and healing when you can communicate with your animal and understand them better.
That is
Oh my
They
God.
are.
incredible.
Where do I find information on this? Because I'm totally taking this
I
course.
know, me too.
I do have it posted on my Instagram. I post it every month, so it's sign up whenever you're ready. And again, it's just like one-on-one, so we revolve around your schedule and everything. And yeah, it's fabulous. Like, I'm so proud of my students right now. They were so self-doubting and they're like blowing my socks off. Like, I'm just so
Wow.
proud of them. And because it's about the trust. And the other thing is, when you're doing communications or mediumship, as mentioned before, you just have to say what information you're feeling because it might not make sense to you, but it's going to make sense to the person that you're giving the information to. So that's an important thing, is never doubt anything. Never doubt anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a big, I mean, I'm learning that every single day. It's like so hard, but
Yeah.
wow.
It's so interesting too, because it's like when you're in the process of like starting to get that information and those downloads, like I had this realization the other day where it's like when I get a download, it's it's different than like when a thought comes through. It's like it comes with this the same energy that I get when it's like, oh fuck, I totally forgot to do that, and it like
Yes, that's a good analogy. That's a good way to describe it.
yeah,
100%.
and it's
Yes.
like it floods in with that energy, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, but I didn't forget to do that. Or even if it is something that like I have to come back to, it's like it'll come just so out of left field.
Yes. Yes. And that's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So that's definitely coming from somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
So
have to
it's
trust it.
totally, but you have to be so discerning because like the way because it is like in my voice, in my
Mm-hmm.
head. And so it's like if I'm not paying attention, I'll just like brush it off as a thought.
And I think that's what happens to most people. I believe everyone is intuitive and everyone can be a psychic or a medium. I feel like people just have to start paying attention more and practicing and honoring those messages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, okay, so
This is so cool.
I know, I know. We always love to like ask this question of everybody that we talk to, but what is the one thing, and I almost feel like I know the answer now, but what is the one thing that you feel like is has become the biggest kind of piece of wisdom that you hang your life on at this point, having learned all these different things and seen all these different things and communicate with so many different spirits? Like, what is that one thing that you just live by?
Well, I think the love that our loved ones and animals have for us is just so overwhelming. And the love and the wisdom that the animals have always gets me so emotional. Like, it's just so beautiful. Um, I just wish everyone could feel that beauty and that eternal, never ending love and life. And also the reincarnation of it all.
Yeah.
Like, I have to live by that. Like, my experience, I can't deny what happened. Um, I wrote everything down as well. Like, and because I wanted to go back on this in the future and be like, if I ever doubted myself, yes, I was right about this. Yes, that was Breeze's name. Yes, this is where she was. Yes, this is what she looked like. So I think that would be it. Yeah.
Okay, so another totally random question for you because I'm So I'm scrolling through your posts on Instagram because I'm so fascinated by all of them. And you have this one post about angel numbers. And it's like, I see angel numbers like every day, like probably,
All the time.
yeah, 5 to 10 times a day. And so, but here is, you're like explaining, if you see the number like 112, for example, then you would add the numbers up and the message is 4. So I'm realizing like, I wonder if I've been like translating the messages incorrectly. So for example, like we were just talking and like I glanced up at the clock, it was 11:11 and I see that 4 times a day.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
is the number then that I should be like paying attention to 4, or is it 1111?
So on that post you're looking at, I did tag the
Sacred Scribes.
website. Yes, I did tag them because I love their interpretation of the numbers. So for 1111, for example, so 11, I'll tell you right off the hop, is a very sacred number. It's like the pillars, golden pillars to go into like the heavenly realm. That's what it was described as me one time. So what I would do if I were you, I would add those up. So that's 4, but I would also check in to see what the number 11 or 1111 means. I would do it both ways.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So say if you add the numbers up and it's 37. So what I do with sometimes, so if I added all these numbers up, it came to 37. I'm going to look up what the number 37 is. And then I'm going to add 3 plus 7 again, and that's 10. So then I'm going to look up what 10 is because I just want to see the balance, and it's always accurate. It's so amazing. And so
Wow.
I've been drawn back to numbers this past year. The angels told me, start working with numbers again. Like, we're giving you messages. Why aren't you paying attention? So I've really, really harnessed that in the past few months again. I really want to pay attention to the numbers. I always see 1, 2, 3, 4. And those numbers mean for me to pay attention. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Wow. I feel like this this question, this message was definitely divine too. I feel like we all needed to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm learning so much right now. I'm so excited.
I know. Oh my God. And how can people find you? Like, what is your website and your Instagram?
So my website's Jaime Breeze. My first name is spelled Jaime, and then Breeze, BREEZE.com. And then my Instagram is The Mountain Medium. So on my website, there is a brief little story about Breeze's reincarnation as well. I wanted to keep it super short. If anyone's interested, I can give them the long version. But I like to keep things short and to the point, so people get this information. But I'm always willing and ready and excited to share her story.
Oh man, thank you so much, Jaime. This was like my mind is just blown all the time. But I feel like this is the point of it. Like, all the things that Sam and I feel like have been exploring is just bringing us constantly back into the wonder and the curiosity and the awesome incredibleness of the universe. And just, I mean, it really is magic. I can't even stress that enough. It's so magical. But thank you for everything that you do. I feel like it's so healing what you do, and just even teaching others how to communicate to their animal or with their animals. Like, yeah, it's such an untapped resource that oftentimes I feel like most people just overlook, and it's just kind of, they're just part of my family, and that's all it is. And there's just, to know that our animals hold so much wisdom, and that they've been with us for not just, throughout our life, but lifetimes. It's just so powerful.
It's the most beautiful thing. I love animals. They're so magical. So magical.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was incredible. I can't wait to take your course.
Yeah, thank you so much, ladies. This was fun. I'm so glad we got to speak today.
Yeah, same. This is awesome. Music for Woo New is composed by Adam Miller.